Hello, and thanks for checking out the first of 2 Ultimate Runner videos for this year, for 2025. And I'm going to do it differently than I've done it in the past. At this event, there's a 1 mile, a 400, an 800, a 100 meter dash, and then a cross-country 5K. And the first 4 events take place on the track. The 5K is cross-country, of course, and I'm gonna do the first 4 events, the track events, in one video, POV with the Insta360 camera, and then I'm gonna do the cross-country 5K in a separate video because it's a longer race. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for the other video. Here are my results from the past 4 years at Ultimate Runner, and each individual is scored like a cross-country team, where the lower scores are better depending on where you place. And as you can see in the mile, I had a good year in 2021, but since then I've had a hard time breaking out of that 5:12, 5:13 mark. In the 400, I've been slowing down, but the past 2 years have been an identical 66.1. In the 800, I've always been hovering around that 2:28 mark. In the 100, it's hard for me to break 15 seconds. I'm just not that kind of runner. But in the cross-country 5K, I've been improving my time, and that's at the end of the evening after you've run all the events, so everyone's tired. Hopefully I can do a little bit better in the points and place department this year. Here at Haynes Park, and it's about an hour before the first heat for the mile starts. I'm hoping these clouds stick around and keep things cool without raining on us, although rain wouldn't be the worst thing, but as long as the weather can get under 90 degrees, that would make this thing a whole lot more approachable. All right, I will see you for the mile. So nothing scares me more than the start line of a 1 mile race. And we're off, quickly settle into a pack. The pack quickly strings out because there is a variety of paces. There are seed times ranging from 4:55 to like 5:30 per mile, 5:45 per mile in this heat. So my seed time of 5:13 sits squarely in the middle here. I'm getting boxed in, as often happens to me in a 1 mile race. So I'm trying to get clear right here, and I've kind of settled into where I'm gonna be. This young boy right in front of me, Kyler, I'm going to hear his name a lot this evening because for as young as he is, he's pretty fast. I remember checking my watch at the 200 mark, thinking I was going out a little bit hot, as I'm wont to do at the start of a 1 mile race, and just trying to settle here.
Number 12, Josh Shrewsbury from Morgantown, West Virginia, with
Kyler.
the early lead, 110, great pace.
Coming into the first lap,
Bib number 19,
I forget exactly what the split was, but I remember thinking it was 2 seconds too slow, and then right about here I'm remembering, that's right, the first lap is 409 meters, so it should be a little bit slower. Or a little bit more time, I should say. So there is a headwind on the back stretch here, and the runner that is in front of me in the gray and white singlet, I'm trying to keep contact with him. I'm not exactly in contact with him, and it's not that I really want to try and pass him or anything. I just want a little bit of relief from the headwind. So that's going to be an ongoing thing throughout this race. At the 600 mark, I'm thinking, I know the third lap is usually the hardest, but people often don't think about how hard the second lap of a 1 mile race is, and that's what I'm thinking right now. Coming into the home stretch at the end of the second lap is really tough because I'm not quite halfway there yet, and I'm already flooded with lactic acid. It's good to have my friends there on the home stretch cheering on, as well as the rest of the crowd. Coming through the finish line with 800 meters to go, I glanced at the LED clock and I think it said 2:37, which means if I wanted to at least match my seed time, my submitted seed time of 5:13, I would have to negative split the second half of the race. Not really negative split because there's 800 meters left and I've already run 809 meters, but close enough. The effort certainly seems like a negative split. So this hard third lap, I'm a little bit further behind Mr. Gray and White Singlet. I never did get his name. And I'm just trying to make contact again, just to get out of the wind. I remember thinking, I've run a kilometer now. I can run 600. I'm thinking just one more lap, but I haven't yet gotten to the point where it's just one more lap. So this is my penultimate time on the home stretch. Just trying to maintain here. The third lap, it is always the hardest.
The pack is starting to move. 346, 347, 348.
What was my split coming into the end here? Coming into the bell, I should say. I'm not sure I remember. It was under 4 minutes, but not by much. So again, trying to make contact, get one more bit of shelter on this last time through the headwind on the backstretch. And I don't really remember much from this part of the race because it was on the backstretch and I was already starting to get tunnel vision. The only thing I was thinking at this point was, it's too early to get tunnel vision. I should be getting that on the final straightaway. So I think even just putting that through my head allowed me to kind of get a little bit of focus as I came around this bend the last time. Last year I went at the bell. I made my move at the bell and it was too early. Trying to make my move with 200 to go here. Really was more like 150 to go. Maybe I can catch this guy. That's what I'm going to try for. He's a target, but I think I'm going to run out of real estate before I can catch him. Fully flooded now. Official finish time was 5:13.8. All right, we'll break a moment here and compare that mile time I just ran to the previous 4 years. And it's pretty consistent with the past 3 years. I'm hovering around that 5:13, if not a half a second slower. I just don't know if I'm ever going to get back to that sub 5:10 shape that I had in the first year I did it. All right, 400 meters, and this one's a waterfall start, so it's tricky. And we're off. We pack up again, shooting for that inside line. The pack looks a little bit different this time because those who favor the shorter distances are out in front this time, even though it's the same runners as the 1 mile. And I'm trying to get around this one guy here, and I was able to pass him on the back stretch, which is hard for me to pass someone in a 400-meter race. It's not my strength. The whole first 200 meters of this race, I was thinking not fast enough. It should feel more like a sprint. So once I passed the 200 mark and started digging around for home, I was trying to find another gear. We're going to come up on my friend Robert here, who's on the sidelines, who was kind of cheering along, and he said, "Come on, Chaz, keep bearing down." And that got stuck in my head. That was a good mantra to keep for these last few seconds. So I really tried to accelerate through the finish line here. I don't know if I was accelerating or not, but I felt stronger than I usually did. I don't feel like I died in the 400 like I normally do. Came through the finish line in about 64 seconds.
It's close to a PR.
As you could hear me say at the end of the race, it was very close to a 400-meter PR, at least for this event. Faster than I've run in the last 3 years, and almost as fast as I ran the first year I did it. It was a 64.8 official time. And I was pretty happy with that, and it helped me in the standings in my age group at least. 800 meters.
On your marks.
And we're off. Familiar refrain here, we're going to settle into a pack, and the pack is going to string out. And you will notice that there is kind of a lead pack, and they're going to start getting away from me on this backstretch. But what you won't see, because I'm not looking behind me, is there is a chase pack that I'm kind of at the head of. I'm about halfway, situated halfway in the standings in my heat. Yeah, so there's still a headwind on the backstretch here, but there's also a little bit of a drizzle, as you can tell by the drops on the screen, which is kind of nice because it's not enough to soak you, just cool you down a little bit. I looked at the 200 split and it was a little bit hot, but here is like the most dreadful part of an 800 is when you're coming around to the 300 mark and you know that you're not even to halfway yet and you feel like almost as bad as you do in a 400.
That's number 12, Josh Newberry.
So the 800 is a middle distance event. It feels like a sprint to someone who's used to running marathons, but the place it occurs in the evening, it really does favor those with more of an endurance base because everyone's starting to get tired with these events back to back to back like this with not a lot of rest in between. So I am not an 800 meter specialist by any measure, but I can hold my own in an 800 when it's sandwiched in between a whole bunch of other efforts, and I can do an almost even split 2 laps on an 800 if I'm really focused and trying to maintain my pace here. Fully flooded with lactic acid at this point. I don't even remember what was going through my mind at this point because I had lost contact with the lead pack. I think I checked my watch at the 600 there. I might have seen like 152, which I couldn't do math at that point, but it seemed about right. I knew that if I was going to muster up something for this last kick, then I would be at least where I normally would be for 800, which was right around 228. All I can do in this final sprint here.
Christopher Sabalchik. 17, that is Chad Williman.
And it was 228 flat. So my 800 meter results are really the most consistent out of all of these results for the last 5 years. I wonder what I would do for a stand-up open 800 without running a couple of harder races right before it. The 100 meter dash, my weakest event.
T3 is up.
On your mark. Set.
And they're off.
So the guy on my right, Chris, was actually creeping ahead of me, but I did something I've never done, which is actually pass someone in a 100 before, and I was able to stay ahead of him to the end.
Jordan Stamper with the heat win.
15.11 officially. Again, pretty consistent with how I've done, if not a little faster. And at the 100 meter, you really do want to count those hundredths of a second. So I will take that. I was happy with it. I had no idea what I ran until like 15 minutes after I had finished it. And it helped me in the standings. So it really wouldn't be a video of mine without a shoe talk. And for the track events, I wore the Nike Dragonfly LD spikes. I was going back and forth between wearing these, which I've worn like 3 other times for Ultimate Runner, and wearing the Streakfly for at least the mile. I was considering wearing the Streakfly 2 for the mile just because of that extra cushioning under the forefoot, not extra like super shoe cushioning like an Alpha Fly or anything like that. But if it were a road mile, of course, this would be the choice. So after my warm-up, I was doing some strides and trying these back and forth, and it really wasn't until about 15 minutes before the mile started that I went with the tried and trusted Dragonfly LD, mainly because of the track surface. The track at Haynes Park is a pretty soft rubberized surface. There are some parts where it's kind of getting a little bit bald, but not so much that I'm really worried about the spikes. I might need to change the spikes out. They are starting to get a little bit dull, and the Zoom X is getting a little bit braided. But on that rubberized surface, I almost feel like the 4-foot bias of the streak fly was almost too much. I was feeling a little bit too much give rather than just the dig that you really need for that distance. So I don't really feel like I need to upgrade my spikes right now, because even though I've had these for almost 4 years, I only have 26 miles on them. I really only use them for this event, or maybe for a couple workouts a year. So these should last me for quite a while. And yes, they are LD spikes, and 2 of the events are sprints, and the other 2 track events are actually MD events. But if I ever do a track 5K or maybe track 10K, I might want some LD spikes. And these I could potentially use for other things. Whereas if I were to buy a pair of sprint spikes that I would use literally once a year, that would just be ridiculous. Well, I don't know, it's me, it might not be ridiculous. But as far as the shoes that I used for the cross-country 5K, that is for the next video, which I hope you will tune in. In fact, you'll have to tune into that video if you want to find out how I did in the overall standings for the event, because everything's compiled after the 5K. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and keep a lookout for the video for the cross-country 5K at the end of Ultimate Runner. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on that run.